Gravy.
On the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Giants, right-hander Logan Webb, and for the Padres, right-hander Yu Darvish. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 6:45 between the Padres and the Giants as the Padres embark on a 6-game road trip. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we've got a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll check in with Bob Scanlan in just a little bit. Our keys to the game, a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres come in 66-52. Padres playing very good baseball right now. They've won 11 of their last 14 games. They've also won 4 consecutive series. Padres enter today just 2 games out of first place in the NL West behind the LA Dodgers. They also now have a 3-game cushion on the Mets for the second wild card spot in the National League. Meanwhile, the Giants come in at 500, 59-59. They're 4 games out of a wild card spot. They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals, dropping the last 2 games of that series. Giants were shut out 8-0 yesterday. The rubber game of a 3-game series yesterday against the Red Sox in downtown San Diego. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
We had a scoreless game going bottom 3 yesterday. Red Sox starter Brian Bayo struck out the first 2 batters of the 3rd inning, but then the Padres got it going. Freddie Fermin hit a 2-out single. Bayo then hit Fernando Tatis Jr. with an 0-2 pitch that set things up for Luis Arraez.
Here's the 0-2. Arraez sends it in the air to left center field. Long run Duran. He was shallow. On the move. Not going to get there. Bounces over his head. Goes to the base of the wall. Both runs will score. A 2-run double for Arraez. And the Padres take a 2-0 lead.
Dylan Cease was in command. He allowed just 2 singles and struck out 6 through 5 scoreless innings. In the bottom of the 5th inning, Jake Cronenworth blooped 1 down the left field line for a 1-out double. He was still on second base, 2 men away for Fernando.
Tees with a runner on second, 2 outs, and a ground ball. Base hit into left field underneath the Stories dive. Cronenworth is on his way. He'll score. For to second, Fernando is tagged out, trying to get in behind the play, but nonetheless, Padres get a run, and an RBI single by Tatis makes it 3-0 after 5 innings here at Petco Park.
Dylan Cease worked around a leadoff single in a scoreless 6th inning. Bottom half of the inning, Manny Machado hit a 1-out single. He stole second with 2 outs, and Manny's still on second. Xander Bogaerts dug in.
And Xander swings, hits it in the air towards the left field corner. Anthony, long run over towards the line. Not going to get there. It just dumps in front of him, a base hit. With 2 outs, Manny was able to run all the way. He comes in to score, and it's 4-0.
Padres got another run to lead 5-0 after 6. Cease came back out for the 7th inning. He walked a batter, gave up a single. Padres then went to Jason Adam. Adam hit a batter to load the bases. Nobody out. Masataka Yoshida then hit a tailor-made double play ball to Xander Bogaerts at short, but Bogaerts made an error. 2 runs came in. Padres got nobody. Red Sox then loaded the bases again, but then Adam struck out Cedar Rafaela. He struck out Abraham Toro with the left-handed hitting Roman Anthony coming up, and the tying runs on base. The Padres went to a lefty of their own in Adrian Morejon.
3-2 to Anthony. Morejon delivers, and a swing and a miss. 98 coming down and into the left-handed batter, and 3 straight strikeouts by Adam and Morejon leave them loaded here in the 7th inning.
So the Padres bullpen giving up a couple. Certainly the error didn't help, but Morahona, a huge strikeout of Anthony. Padres would get a run back to make it 6-2. David Morgan, great out of the bullpen. He got the final 5 outs of the game and the final score in the rubber game of that 3-game series yesterday against the Red Sox. The Padres 6 and the Red Sox 2. Like I said, a 4th consecutive series win for the Pods. Let's go to the Bay.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Bob Scanlan in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
All right, Scans, we go to you in San Francisco as the Padres get ready to begin this 3-game series against the Giants. Let's start with a look at today's starting pitching matchup. Scans, Yu Darvish making his 7th start of the season after beginning the year on the IL. He was a little bit up and down his last start Tuesday in Arizona. What will you be looking for from Yu Darvish today in a place where a little bit weirdly he's had tough times in San Francisco in the past?
He has, and I think some of it had to do with the weather, to be honest with you, Sam. I know that at least one of those games where he didn't get out of the 2nd inning, it was extremely cold, extremely windy, and that's sort of the norm here in San Francisco, isn't it, even in the summertime? But so far today, actually, it's been really, really nice. So it is starting to cool off. The wind has changed directions, about a half dozen times since I've gotten to the ballpark already. So another typical day here at Oracle Park. So we'll see if the weather conditions have anything to do with Yu Darvish. But I think more than anything else, it's just, he was so sharp in that outing 2 outings ago against the Mets where he went 7 innings, no runs, 7 punch-outs. And it wasn't just the box score that looked good. It was the way he was throwing the ball. He was just spot on with everything, locating every pitch of his repertoire. And then the last outing, he just didn't look comfortable at all. And there were times where he was really yanking some pitches and just a very different Yu Darvish that we saw. So, some of this, Sam, quite frankly, I think might just be the recovery issue when you're coming back from having pitched for a while. Then you pitch and you've got the adrenaline going and you push your body to a level that it hasn't been previously, no matter how many rehab assignments that you have. So I'm curious to see how he does in this outing, and hopefully his body's had time to recover. And we see the same Yu Darvish that we saw against the Mets, which was just pinpoint and meticulous.
On the other side of this pitching matchup, Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. And Webb, has always been very, very good, Scans, against the Padres. He's been especially good against them in San Francisco. 3rd start of the year for Webb this season against the Padres. One the Padres got to him, but then he threw 8 scoreless innings against the Padres in June in San Francisco. When Logan Webb is going right, what makes him so tough?
So there's 2 answers to that question. First of all, when he's going well, obviously he has the power sinker going. He has a great changeup. Those are his 2 weapons, and everybody knows that it's been an adjustment for him. He came in as a 4-seam curveball guy, and then he changed everything, and he's been extremely effective since then using the changeups and the sinkers. That being said, his last outing against the Padres, he did something very, very different, and he did it by design, and he did it because he felt like the previous 2 outings, the Padres is actually starting to figure him out a little bit. So we'll talk about that more in the broadcast, the change that he made, but it was a different Logan Webb that we saw. He used his repertoire very differently. So I'm very curious today to see if he sticks with the game plan that he had previously, Sam, or if he goes back to the Logan Webb that we normally see. So that's the chess game, right? The chicken and egg, and we'll see how Logan Webb comes out and how the Padres counteract him.
Yeah, we'll see how the Padres do against Webb, who, again, has always given the Padres trouble, especially in San Francisco. Let's touch on the offensive side of things, and more specifically, Xander Bogaerts, who, you look at some of the numbers, I mean, he's been one of the better offensive players in the game since June 19th, that 4-hit game in L.A. To you, Bob, what's been the biggest difference you can see between the Xander before June 19th and everything we've seen in this last 40-plus game span?
So when we always talk about guys and their timing, right, the number one thing is you have to be able to get to the fastball. And I think Xander has proven that he can do that. But what's more significant, Sam, is what he's done on non-fastballs. Prior to June 19th, he was hitting a little bit, I think it was 221 was the number that he was hitting on non-fastballs. Since then, he's hitting over 400 against non-fastballs. Now, it's not just because he's sitting there and he's hunting off speed, right? It's about having your timing down. So when your timing is down and you're getting to the ball in time for the fastball, you're not out in front of everything else. And I think that's what we've seen out of Xander. Once you have confidence that you can get to the fastball comfortably, You don't have to cheat as a hitter. You're not overstriding. You're not starting everything too soon. You're not overcommitting, and then you become completely susceptible to the off speed. So I think it was step one, getting his timing down right for the fastball. Once that happened, the next part automatically came into place in terms of his ability to stay back on the off speed, and that has been the biggest difference, not just visually, optically, but numerically. When you look at it, he is killing the non-fastballs since that stretch.
All right, Scans, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 6:35 in San Francisco as the Padres try to keep it rolling. Thanks so much.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sam.
All right, that was Bob Scanlan joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. A lot to do between now and first pitch in San Francisco. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in a little bit. We also hear from longtime Giants broadcaster John Miller, and John Miller has been in baseball broadcasting for a very long time, one of the real greats to do it. We'll hear from John Miller coming up a little bit later as well. Full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, a good one. A couple of veteran right-handers going at it in Yu Darvish and Logan Webb. Much, much more to do as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 6:45 in the Bay. More after this on our pregame coverage on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 6:45 in San Francisco as the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants in a series opener, game one of a 6-game road trip to San Francisco and LA. Take a look at the Padres starting lineup today. It looks like this: Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off, Luis Arraez at first base batting second, Manny Machado at third base batting batting third. Ryan O'Hearn, the DH, batting cleanup. Jackson Merrill in center field, batting fifth. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop, batting sixth. Gavin Sheets in left field, batting seventh. Jake Cronenworth at second base, batting eighth. And Freddie Fermin doing the catching and batting ninth, with right-hander Yu Darvish on the mound. Tough righty Logan Webb on the mound for San Francisco today. Well, this is a very, very tough stretch for the Padres they're embarking on today. A 16-game stretch that will see the Padres play 3 in San Francisco, 3 in LA, 4 against the Giants at home, 3 against the Dodgers at home. So they play the Giants and the Dodgers. That's it for about 2 weeks here. Then 3 games in Seattle against maybe the best team in the American League in the Seattle Mariners. So this is a 16-game stretch that is not just a tough one by opponent, but also just very important for where the Padres are in this season. They're playing great baseball right now, but obviously once you get towards mid to late August, it is crunch time as we begin to come down the stretch of the regular season. A very, very important stretch of games beginning here today. With all that in mind, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
13 in a row. Dodgers, Giants. The manager's perspective, you've been through this before. Just give us an idea what it's like for you from your vantage point when you take a look at this stretch of games.
Think about today. I really, I know people look at, we're aware of the schedule, but personally I think it's a huge mistake to start thinking about a big picture thing when you have an opportunity to focus on today. And that's what we're going to do.
Is that the message you're saying? No, I imagine your vets are used to hearing that from you, but the younger guys, do they see it that way?
I think we all see it that way. We're a very present group. Just try to look to, we don't try. We look to be prepared every day and go compete and be in the moment.
Just one more from me, side thought on David Morgan. You've touched on him before. Specifically, what are you seeing from him that's caught your eye? Any surprises or expectations met or exceeded?
Listen, we didn't have as much history with him. He came in spring training and wasn't in big league camp and backed up some games, and always appreciated the way he came in and just his presence when he came in the game, took the ball and went to go compete. So you're like, this guy's aggressive and he's got a good arm. And then, of course, he went out in the season and started his minor league season and pitched very well and earned his way to the big leagues. And I've said repeatedly, he doesn't make situations bigger than they are. He's got a nice arm. He's got good movement to his pitches. He throws strikes. He's got secondary pitches that are all very solid to plus. And he just goes and pitches and is aware of what he's doing and who he's doing it against.
Number of high leverage guys that you have can obviously pitch to the back of games. What does the day-to-day look like in terms of communicating with them when they might pitch in that game, so that when they get the call, it's kind of like it's never a surprise to them?
We've done it since day one. I don't think I know every single guy in that bullpen knows where his lanes are and where the possibilities he can show up. Some have more possibilities. Morgan has more possibilities relative to earlier or later. Though we talk every day, me, Ruben, Fritzy, Brian Esposito, our bench coaches in there. We meet every day before the game and lay out pretty clear what we think the game's going to go and where guys can show up relative to situations. Then that's communicated to the players, and the players do their homework, and then there's not a ton of surprises. And, of course, that changes every day based on availability.
Is that communication with players, done through Ruben, or how does
it's done through Fritzy. It's done through Fritzy, yeah. Like I said, the guys go out and play catch, guys being the relievers. We come in and meet before the series, meet before every game, right before the series, the game starts, and go through and check, the availability and who can go and who can get maybe a 1+, or who's just going to be able to get out of an inning, or who can get a full inning. And so there's awareness of that to put the puzzle together. And then we go through and calibrate the other teams, where they're at and where we think the best matchups are. And then we game plan a little bit. If this guy could show up in the 6th or 7th, this guy could show up in the 7th or 8th, this guy could start here, finish there. Okay, he can't get out of an inning, or he can get another inning. We're aware of all those things. And then Fritzy takes it and communicates with the relievers. And that's why they don't have to get as hot as consistently. They can start their play balls, get stretched, and all the different things to allow them to get ready to go compete and not being very surprised.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up a little bit later on in the evening. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for game one of a 3-game series between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Let's take you around the horn, give you some headlines from around the majors.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, the National League and American League Players of the Week were announced earlier today. Notable because a couple of rookies won the awards in their respective leagues. Rookie second baseman Luke Keeschel of the Minnesota Twins named the AL Player of the Week. Rookie outfielder Isaac Collins of the Brew Crew named the National League Player of the Week. And both hit walk-off home runs yesterday for their respective teams. Red Hot Brewers coming off a sweep of the Mets. They're looking to win their 10th consecutive game today and move a Major League best 30 games above 500 in a series opener against the Pirates. Carlos Correa making his return to Houston as member of the Astros once again after that trade at the deadline, sending Correa from Minnesota to Houston. Alex Bregman also returning as a visitor for the first time after Bregman signed with the Red Sox this past offseason. And speaking of the Minnesota Twins, they reinstated all-star outfielder Byron Buxton from the IL earlier today. And we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little while, so stay tuned for that. When we come back, we'll hear from Giants broadcaster, the great John Miller, plus our keys to the game, full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup between Yu Darvish and Logan Webb. Much, much more to do as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up in San Francisco at 6:45 right here on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game. Padres taking on the San Francisco Giants with first pitch coming up at 6:45 at Oracle Park in San Francisco. Today's continuation of the West Divisional Showdown series of games versus the team from San Francisco is presented by Palomar Health, reimagining healthcare. We'll hear from Giants broadcaster John Miller coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Also, our keys to today's game. But first, let's give you today's injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
On the Padres side of things, nothing major to update you on, which is certainly good news. Obviously, the biggest injury news over the course of the weekend was the return of Michael King into the Padres rotation. But aside from that, really no news is good news for the Padres right now on the injury front. As far as the Giants, they're missing right-hander Landon Root, who was having a good season. He's on the IL right now with right elbow inflammation. He's slated to, or I should say he did make his first rehab start for AAA Sacramento yesterday. Giants right now also without Gerard Encarnacion, who's dealing with a right hamstring strain. Eric Miller also dealing with a left elbow strain for the Giants as well. So a couple of pitchers out, Encarnacion out, and that's a quick look at today's injury report, who's out for the San Francisco Giants. Speaking of the Giants, the great John Miller, who's been a baseball broadcaster, sports broadcaster for a long time, one of the greats to do it in our game, really. He joined the Braden Soprenet show earlier today here on 97.3 The Fan, so I wanted to revisit a little bit of that conversation from earlier today. Here was John Miller, Giants broadcaster, on the state of the Giants as they enter this three-game series against San Diego.
I think the Giants are capable. I mean, it's still a good lineup. It's capable of doing big things, but it has not been able to achieve anything consistently. And they have a lot of guys who have not done well, especially getting that big hit. They get runners on base to set things up, and then that big hit to actually cash in those runners, that has been very elusive for the Giants, and they have gone long periods of time where they just have not been able to get those big hits. And lately, it's become sort of this is a word I learned a few years. It's become a pandemic of frustration and futility in those big moments. So anyway, I think that's been their problem, and because they're a team that doesn't hit that many home runs, they hit the long ball. They have guys who can hit the long ball, and they've added Rafi Devers. They did sell some guys for prospects, and I think they got a nice little haul in prospects for guys who can help them in the future at the deadline. But the big deal that they made was before that, well before the deadline, where they acquired Devers from the Red Sox. Now Devers is also he got hurt and didn't know what was going on. He thought he had a groin muscle injury, and so did the Giants. He just was not running well at all. And we were like, wait, what happened? But it turned out it wasn't even a groin muscle injury. It was a lower back injury, more of a disc kind of a thing, compressed disc or whatever it was, that kind of also affected the groin area. So the All-Star break was very helpful for him to get some rest, because he kept playing through all that. And he's also been learning how to play first base and has made some great strides in that regard. And I know Dusty Baker is still with the Giants, the great manager who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, I think, sooner rather than later. Dusty told me that he thought, well, he's got a chance to be a great first baseman, because he's a third baseman. He can do a lot of things that guys who you usually earmark for first base can't do. It's usually they play there because they're not good at throwing. Well, he's got a great arm, and he's made some really nice plays because of that from first base. still trying to get the footwork down and where he's supposed to be on bunts and relay plays and all that kind of stuff. So it's all still real new to him. But I think that they feel, and he feels, that he hits better when he's also playing in the field. That this idea of sitting around between at bats when you're DHing, it just kind of puts it all on that next at bat, and you're thinking about that next at bat, and you're not helping the team in any way if you don't actually get a hit or hit a home run or whatever. Whereas playing the field, you still can help the team win a game with something that you do in the field. So I think that they like to see him be able to do that and do it a lot more often. Also, their best prospect, who's a big-time power prospect named Bryce Eldridge. He's only 20 years old, and he's in AAA already. He's kind of earmarked as a first baseman too. So, but otherwise DH. He's a guy who never played a position in high school because he was a two-way player. He was a pitcher, so he pitched, and when he didn't pitch, he DH'd. So it's like the curse of the DH in the lower levels of baseball where guys are just learning how to play. So he never played a position all that time. And they drafted him when he was 18, so he's trying to learn that aspect of the game as a professional. So, which is a little different, a very, very rare. But it was because, and they signed him as a two-way guy and decided, hey, the best thing for him in the future is for him to learn first base and not just be a DH. So he's still in that process right now.
That was John Miller, Giants broadcaster, obviously one of the great voices to grace the airwaves in sports broadcasting. You can't get tired of that voice of John Miller. Great job by John Miller joining the Braden Soprennant show earlier today here on 97.3 The Fan. If you want to go back and listen to that full interview, you can do that on 97.3thefansd.com, or you can check out the Braden Soprennant show on demand, available on the free Odyssey app. You heard John mention Rafael Devers there. Devers, of course, in the Giants lineup today, DHing and batting second. And that's an interesting note as the Padres go up to San Francisco. Padres have never faced Rafael Devers as a member of the San Francisco Giants. So for the first time, it'll be a divisional game where the Padres and Giants square off, and in a Giants uniform is Rafi Devers. First pitch coming up at 6:45 at Oracle Park in San Francisco. Let's give you our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number one, Manny mashing against the Giants. Manny Machado is batting .417 with 6 RBIs in 6 games against the Giants this season. Hopefully that can continue here tonight. Key number 2, don't let the Giants get their offense going at home. The Giants have lost 10 of their last 11 home games. They've scored only 22 runs combined in those 11 home games. The Giants have been held to 2 runs or fewer in 8 of their last 11 home games. So at home, they are not scoring at all. They only had 3 hits yesterday. They didn't put a runner in scoring position. They got out hit by the Nationals yesterday. Not a very good team. 17-3. In fact, former Padre, now Giants manager Bob Melvin, called yesterday's game the most disappointing game the Giants have had all year. The point is, this Giants offense, they have not been good at all. At home, if you're the Padres, do not let them get it going here tonight and in this series. That's key number 2. Key number 3 sort of falls in line with that. The Giants' hottest hitter is Dominic Smith. So don't let Dom hurt you. He's in the midst of a career-long 13-game hitting streak, batting .364 in that span with 9 RBIs. It is the longest active hitting streak in major leagues, and the Giants' Dominic Smith back in the lineup today, playing first base and batting cleanup. Key number 4, continue the summer of Zan. That's Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts had 3 hits and 3 RBIs in the final 2 games of the series against the Red Sox, including a home run on Saturday. Since June 19th, a span of 44 games for Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts has the 4th highest batting average in the majors at 337 and the 11th highest OPS at 933. Bottom line, you go back to mid-June, Xander Bogaerts has been one of the best hitters in baseball. He's been so productive. He's been so good as of late. Hey, Xander, keep it rolling on the road. That's key number 4. Key number 5, Luis Arraez against Logan Webb. Now, we're going to get into Logan Webb. He's very often given the Padres fits, especially at home in San Francisco. More on that later. However, one solution to the Logan Webb issue today could be Luis Arraez, and here's why. Luis is 9 for 17 against Webb in his career. That's a .529 batting average against Logan Webb. Can Luis Arraez set the tone against Webb towards the top of the Padres lineup today? Luis batting second, playing first base, and that's a look at our keys to today's game as the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants. First pitch coming up at 6:45. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
One final already today. Phillies beat the Reds 4-1 in Cincinnati. Kyle Schwarber hitting his 42nd home run in that game. That was a 4-run 8th inning for the Phils, and Schwarber continues to have just a terrific season. Games going on right now. Yankees ahead of the Twins 6-2 in New York in the 8th inning. Tigers and the White Sox tied at 1 in the 7th inning in Chicago. Brewers 6, Pirates 1 in Milwaukee in the 6th inning. Nationals lead the Royals 4-2 in Kansas City in the 6th. Cardinals ahead of the Rockies 1-0 in St. Louis in the 6th inning. D-backs lead the Rangers 5-1 in Arlington in the 5th. Astros ahead of the Red Sox 3-2 in Houston in the 4th inning. Games yet to begin. Dodgers and the Angels at 6:38 in Anaheim. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound today for LA. And finally, Rays and the A's at 7:05 in Sacramento. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday evening. When we come back, we tell you what to watch for in today's game, plus a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, a good one between Yu Darvish and Logan Webb. Much more to do as we get ready for first pitch. You'll hear from Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlan in just about 12 minutes here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. They come your way at 6:35. We return with our pregame coverage after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch is coming up at 6:45 in San Francisco as the Padres begin this 6-game road trip. 3 games in San Francisco, day off Thursday, 3 games, a big series in LA looming on Friday at Dodger Stadium. Padres entered the day just 2 games out of first place in the National League West. Padres have won 11 of 14. They've won 4 consecutive series, and now they try to keep the good times rolling on the road. Today's continuation of the West Divisional Showdown series of games versus the team from San Francisco is presented by Palomar Health, reimagining healthcare. Before we get to what to watch for and a breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, we'll give you a couple of bullpen notes here, some pitching notes, really. Do want to take a moment. We talked about him a lot on the post game yesterday. David Morgan has been so good for the Padres, got the final 5 outs of yesterday's game. He lowered his ERA to 1.71 yesterday. He's given up 6 earned runs in 31 2/3 innings. He's such a great story, a guy that signed with the Padres, keep in mind, as an undrafted free agent. Didn't really start pitching until he began his pro career, and he has been just a terrific story for the Padres bullpen. Again, a sub-2 ERA in this rookie season. One thing the Padres pitching staff as a whole has done really well as of late, and this was on full display yesterday in that 7th inning. In their past 5 games, Padres pitching has held opponents to just a 125 batting average in 48 at-bats with runners in scoring position. So the Padres are allowing base runners, as every pitching staff will do, but they've done a terrific job at, when they allow base runners, many times keeping those guys on the bases and away from home plate, away from scoring. So a really nice job in that department for the Padres as the bullpen continues to shine. Jason Adam getting a couple of big strikeouts yesterday. Jeremiah Estrada, terrific in that series against the Red Sox. Morajón contributing. Of course, Miller and Suarez. It is a fun bullpen group to watch right now, and we'll see how they impact this series opener tonight in San Francisco. Let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game? Can Jake Cronenworth continue what has been, to me, a pretty quiet 15-game on-base streak? Cronenworth, in that 15-game span, has a .435 on-base percentage. He scored 10 runs in that 15-game stretch. So can Jake Cronenworth continue to get on base? Cronenworth back in the lineup today, playing second base, batting 8th for the Padres. Again, .435 on-base percentage in a 15-game on-base streak. Really nice job by Jake getting on base, and we'll see if he can continue that on-base streak here today. That's what to watch for in today's game, this series opener in San Francisco. Well, on one side of this pitching matchup for the Padres is right-hander Yu Darvish. He's 38 years old. He'll turn 39 later this week. On the other side is right-hander Logan Webb. He's 28 years old, and he's always given the Padres troubles, especially in San Francisco. Let's talk more about our starting pitching matchup right now.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres, like we said, Yu Darvish, who is 1-3, a 6.51 ERA in 6 starts this season, 27 innings and 2/3. He struck out 23, walked 11. Last start Tuesday in Arizona, 4 innings, 3 runs given up, 2 walks. He threw 72 pitches. That came after an outing against the Mets where he was terrific. 7 shutout innings on less than 80 pitches. Now, the interesting thing today is that Yu Darvish has had trouble against the Giants and at Oracle Park in San Francisco in particular. Since joining the Padres in 2021, Darvish has a 6.27 ERA and 11 home runs allowed in 9 starts against the Giants. If you look at the numbers in San Francisco, in 4 starts, he has a 12.74 ERA. He gave up 8 runs there in his start in 2021, 9 runs there in his start in 2022. So there have been a couple of really uncharacteristic, tough outings for Yu Darvish in San Francisco. We'll see if Yu Darvish can flip the script on that here tonight. But for whatever reason, the Giants in San Francisco, it's a place that has given you trouble in the past. Right-hander Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants today, 28 years old, as we said, 10-8, 3.24 ERA, 24 starts, 147 innings in a third, 165 strikeouts, 34 walks. Webb is aiming for his fourth consecutive season of 30 or more starts and an ERA under 3.5. Last start against the Pirates, he went 6 innings, 1 run given up. He has 21 strikeouts combined in his last 2 starts, those 2 outings coming against the Pirates, both of them. And again, he struck out a combined 21 in those last 2 outings. Padres got to Webb in April in San Diego. 5 runs allowed in 5 innings, but then he threw 8 scoreless innings against the Padres in June in San Francisco. We talked about Darvish struggling against the Giants in San Francisco. Well, it's been the opposite for Logan Webb. He has been great against the Padres, particularly in his home ballpark. Webb has a 1.99 ERA in 8 career starts against the Padres in San Francisco. So, couple of trends the Padres are battling against tonight. Webb, who's very, very good against them in his building, and Darvish, who has struggled against the Giants in their building. We'll see what happens tonight. Starting pitching matchup, Yu Darvish against Logan Webb. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect, keeping it soft since 1925. Take a look at the headlines coming into this one for these 2 teams. Again, Padres playing very good baseball, 66-52 coming in. They've won 11 of their last 14 games. Padres, as we've said, 2 games out of first place in the NL West. They now have a 3-game cushion on the Mets for the second wildcard spot in the NL entering today. Giants are 59-59. They're 4 games out of a wildcard spot. They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. They were shut out 8-0 yesterday. So an important series for the Giants if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive, and the Padres continue to knock on the door of the top spot in the NL West. When we come back, it's Jesse Ackler, Bob Scanlan. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.